and not so controversial detriment to people's health, a tight psoas muscle. So check out these 3 exercises if you are somebody that suffers from chronic lower back pain, chronic tight pelvis, chronic tight hamstrings, tight quads, hurt knees, things of this nature. This video is for you. Thank you, Michael. Got my new coffee from Elevate Coffee Trading Company this morning. Can't wait to try the new Guatemalan Ethiopian blend. Now, on to today's video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Dr. Jonathan Perlman from Paramount Chiropractic and Wellness in Richardson, Texas. And I wanted to make a video because all too often I'm seeing people that are hurting doing a lot of the wrong movements and a lot of the wrong type of stretches, and that's why the title of this video is called Stop Stretching, because oftentimes there is too much of the wrong type of rehab going on. And what we have to understand is that for as much as we want mobility, right? We want to have greater movement in all these joints. You hear so much about mobility, there's really not an emphasis on stability. So here's what we need to do. We need to understand that most of the time if we have an ache and a pain, it's not because of a tight muscle, you see. It's because of a weak muscle or an, as we would say, inhibited muscle that needs to be activated along with creating stability about the joints so we can protect our hypermobile joints. Oftentimes, you see, because of all of our nerve roots will come from the low back in the case of foundational lower back or pelvic sacroiliac joint pain. So the problem is, if you told me that you went to yoga, which yoga is fantastic, yoga is actually one of the best ways to establish stability. However, do you or does your instructor know the compromised position your body might be in if you have a disc injury, or perhaps if you have a tight psoas, or perhaps if you actually already have something like a tendinitis, whether it's a glute muscle, whether it's piriformis syndrome. So all these things don't get taken into consideration when holding a pose at your yoga class, or if you're at home doing your own stretching before or after your run. Now, as a caveat, disclaimer, it's not about medical advice. I'm simply gonna say, don't stretch before you run. I'm going to show you my stretch routine for when I run. Okay, here it is. Are you ready? I'm running in the morning now. Okay, that's it. We're going running. Okay, so you just saw a quick clip which shows you my pre-exercise stretching routine, and I kid you not, it's that quick. Why? Because compiled evidence shows that it is detrimental and your performance is worse when you stretch prior to exercise. Active warm-up, jumping jacks, high knees, slow progressive jog into heavier locomotive movements are going to be more beneficial as you're warming up a cold muscle to prevent injury and to have a better performance. Okay, so do you want to stretch maybe mid-workout? Yes. Do you want to stretch post-workout? Yes, within reason, and that's why I'm going to show you these 3 moves to build a more efficient and more stable core, lumbopelvic area, and activate your glutes, along with elongating the ever so contracted and not so controversial detriment to people's health, a tight psoas muscle. So check out these 3 exercises if you are somebody that suffers from chronic lower back pain, chronic tight pelvis, chronic tight hamstrings, tight quads, hurt knees, things of this nature. This video is first thing we're going to do is this.
A glute bridge is one of the best things you can do to stabilize your glutes, your hamstrings, your pelvic muscles, your pelvic floor muscles. And there are so many cues which can make this effective for various things, whether we want to focus on our hamstrings, whether we want to focus on our glutes. Today, what I'm going to do is actually show you a way to really focus on, again, lengthening the psoas muscle, kind of relaxing the lower back when it's feeling compressed without just this constant need to sort of contract or try to strengthen your low back the way you might do if you're coming up from a deadlift. Deadlifting is a great exercise, but this video is not about deadlifting. So what we're going to do is, rather than having any space available, you shouldn't have any space available under your back. So what you want to do is round that out by just saying, and your cue is, push your pelvis up toward the ceiling. You're not doing this here. You are just saying, push my pelvis up toward the ceiling. And you should feel your back decompress a little bit. It should feel like, oh yeah, that's lengthening, and it just kind of opened up. It's like a weird decompressed feeling, but stable as well. You should be able to breathe through this too. You don't have to hold your breath. You can breathe through your nose. This isn't quite diaphragm breathing here. You want to feel nice and contracted in the core, but this right here will sink down. Your abdomen will sink down slightly, and you're going to push your pelvis up so there's no space under your back at all. Nice and tight. You can tap your butt to make sure that this is also contracted as you just kind of push it up. So this is exercise 1 right here. So if you've accomplished this, you can just hold it for a few seconds. There's no magic number till it starts to feel good, till it starts to feel stable. And when you go back for your second rep, as I just held that for about 20 or 30 seconds, you can just point your pelvis up toward the ceiling. And what you'll notice is your back doesn't hurt as much. You don't feel it in your back muscles as much. Your core stabilizing muscles have now taken a lot of pressure off your back having to do a lot of work. But if you just went up like this, your back muscles are engaged again and now contracted in the back, doing all that work again. Now you can focus this more on your glutes by pushing your feet forward. You don't actually push the feet forward, you cue yourself to push feet forward and activate the glutes, but again, it's a different exercise. This is about core stability, decompressing the back by cueing pelvis up, and it's a very short, slight, subtle movement, and you're actually decompressing, again, lengthening your psoas and opening the joints in your back, but there's no space here on the floor with the pelvis just slightly tilted. Okay, that's exercise number 1. What about exercise number 2? This is very famously called the bird dog. And you're going to start off on all fours, and opposite hand, opposite knee, or opposite hand, opposite leg. And you want to reach and reach. You don't want to kick up. You don't want to be out. It's straight forward, straight back. If there's no one there to cue you, it's okay. You really want to feel the pull through here in your glutes, nice, tight, and active. Now, one of the common mistakes here is people will reach, and they're going to reach way too hard, which could lead to a muscle strain. You don't want to do that. Don't get injured stretching or trying to become more stable. Go through the range of motion. There, I begin to feel stable. Now I can reach just a little more and hold for a few seconds. I can do them in repetitions. I can do them alternating. This is actually good for the brain. It's healthy for the brain to do cross-crawl type motions. The more you do this, the more it might help with your balance. It will certainly help stretch a tight psoas, strengthen a weak hamstring, and strengthen a glute. Last exercise is called a cat-cow or a cat-camel. Even if they're two different things, they're going to be the same here on Dr. Perlman's channel. You want to round out again, you're going to feel this open nicely through here, nice and subtle. You don't force it, you go slow. Think of a spike pointing out up into the belly, and you want to draw away from it. Oh, there's a spike coming towards my belly. I need to draw away from it. And then you can drop it in, drop it down, let it relax. And that takes pressure off the back of the disc. If you did have a disc injury, which is not the intent of this video, but if you did, you would want to round out. And if that felt better, you can stop right there and hold for a few seconds and then down. If it felt better going down, you would hold at the bottom for a few seconds and then come up only halfway. Again, if that was to make the condition feel worse, if this didn't feel as good, you didn't have to go all the way up. You could stop right here if that feels okay and then go down to where it feels better. Now, what order you do these exercises in is total, preference. I prefer to start with the glute bridge. There's no right or wrong order to the exercises I just showed you. That is completely and totally up to you. I prefer, when I come in for a run, to start off on my back, decompress my low back by doing that exercise and getting my glutes, activated. Because remember, they've just been compressed and loaded, and I've really been quad dominant, right? So on my run, I was quad dominant, and even if my glutes were being activated, I had nobody there per se to cue me. I was just kind of in my rhythm, right? We go out and we're running, and or we're cycling, or we're exercising. We're just kind of in the rhythm. We're just trying to enjoy the surrounding. Some of us are just trying to get through, right? But the point being that I don't think about activating my glutes. I don't think about springing up high and keeping a tall posture. Sometimes it's like, oh shoot, I just ran 30 minutes and I wasn't checking my posture. So by me coming in first thing and really activating my glutes and taking the pressure off my back by rounding that low back a little bit, and I don't mean rounding by bending over, but rounding the way I showed you when I'm facing the ceiling, is a great way for me to engage that, or the way that I like to engage it, which then I go into the bird dog, and then finally finishing with the cat cow, because I believe that's the most range of motion that I can get throughout my pelvis and core, and also having stability. The others are much more demanding of the glutes and lumbopelvic area to truly be stable after so much mobility put in via the run. There it is. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it showed you something that you can use and apply today. Feel free to comment down below and let me know if there's something else you'd like for me to put out there. I'm going to always put out weekly content. As you know, I put a lot of stuff geared towards the ketogenic diet, ketogenic lifestyle, built for sustainability, not for the short term of just, eating, 80% fat all the time, 70% fat all the time, whatever the math is. I mean, I've done this now successfully, not only for myself, but for many clients. And if you guys are struggling to keep weight off, if you are struggling hard with inflammation, with carbohydrates, I have a program set in place. We can do it via Zoom, and I can send you a PDF tailor-made to your individual needs. And of course, exercise or rehab cues will always be for free on my channel, and there'll always be more information on the horizon. I hope it was helpful. And until next time, guys, this was Dr. Perlman. Thank you.